Everybody, welcome back to On the Nose. We are continuing last week's episode with my son Brehn, and we will be finishing our conversation. I hope that you guys had a good week. Thank you for listening, and I hope that your upcoming weekend is awesome.
That's funny. They constantly act like physical and mental are separate. It's just like not the case. I mean,
No, it's
considering
not.
people can literally get rashes because they think something should cause a rash, and it's just their brain sending
Yeah.
the correct
Well,
chemical
they
responses.
don't think it's a thing until your physical symptoms are inconveniencing them, and then they tell you it's in your head.
True, true. But they tell you it's in your head in order to not have to do anything about it. Like,
Exactly.
oh, it's in your head, so it's not my problem. You want a therapist?
Yeah, I
You
have
want
multiple friends that have gone to the doctor for things who started crying when the doctor blew them off. And then the doctor was like, here's some Ativan, see a therapist. And one of them has cancer that's literally killing them, and the other one has the sarcoidosis
it's just
and had blood work proving that they had it, and they were still just like, here's some Ativan.
it's like
Like,
I don't my feelings aren't the issue. I'm having pretty reasonable feelings considering I'm have cancer, you
yeah,
know.
right? Yeah, it's
I
like
don't need
I don't.
help managing my feelings.
So weird.
And I
Yeah, I
feel
think the
like
fact that I'm so calm is part of why my doctors take me seriously in some cases, but also why they're not particularly helpful in other cases. But I feel like if I was more emotional, they probably wouldn't help me at all.
it's hard to it's like, a case by case basis. You get the doctor who needs the emotional stimulus to consider you worth their time, and then you need the ones who you give them emotional stimulus and they shut you out.
Yeah.
And I I have had this like consistent experience and seen consistent experiences with other people where primary doctors just fucking suck. I don't know if it's the volume they have to deal with or the fact that they're just generalized, but they suck every single
Yeah.
time. They don't know shit. You tell them something, they blow you off and give you the fucking same answer every time. Any intestinal problems, they're like, have you tried taking Prilosec? Or,
They just tell me
what?
I'm stressed.
Have you tried taking antacids? Yeah, you have. You should try taking them again.
Oh my God.
Oh, I mean, it's
When you had the gastritis and all that when you were younger and they just kept trying to give you Prilosec and I literally did not want you to take Prilosec and was like, it's not
I still
helping.
have the gastritis. I still have it. It never went away. I just got used to it and finding ways to like make it bearable. I I still like I've every few years I go get an endoscopy. Person who did the endoscopy is like, yeah, something's not right in there. And then the primary doctor literally does nothing. They go, well,
I
well,
don't
have
even
you,
know why you get an endoscopy where the
uh,
my primary never looks at those, only a GI does. So that's weird.
yeah, well, I don't know. The primary like says he looks at them. I don't think he does. But
Yeah.
anyway, it doesn't matter who I have as a primary. I've changed primaries so many times, and every single time it's just like, well, they said this. Have you thought about taking antacids?
My
And I'm just like,
my primary doesn't give me any advice except for she refers me to specialists, so she doesn't have to do anything. And she tells me where to wear compression socks instead of helping me figure out why I need to wear compression socks. And then she says every single time, you're too young to have all these issues.
oh yeah, that's my favorite one.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And I'm
I, I've
like,
I've literally come to the point where I'm like, okay, so I need to wait till I'm like 35 before this actually gets solved. And
it
I'll
does.
tell them I've had it since I was like 5, and they'll be like,
Oh,
"Wow,
you
that's
should have
that
gotten help
wow,
before.
well, you haven't gotten help since then? Like, what? why? Was it
Yep.
not as bad back then? I'm like, no, it was actually worse.
Yep. Yeah, all my pain stuff, I'm like, no, it's been since I was a kid. Oh, why didn't you get help sooner? I'm like, I tried. They wouldn't listen. They told me my pain wasn't real or it
Yep.
couldn't
That
be
was
that
it.
bad or
Yeah, Itzel too. She was like, she's had back pain and basically all the same pain she has now, but it lesser degree since she was a kid. And the doctors then and even now are like, well, wow, but have you, been injured? It was an injury. And, uh, they just, I don't fucking know. I don't. Maybe hospitals, they're putting something in the air in hospitals and medical offices.
yeah, they just like
Major
crush their
copium.
curiosity and like, you know,
Yeah.
they
Well, and
they filter out all the good curious doctors go to John Hopkins and Mayo.
yeah, all the good curious doctors that care about what they're doing. Yeah, they go somewhere that does something. And then we get all the doctors that are crushed under crippling debt and depression.
Yep.
And it's like, I mean, I get it. Like I might be shitting on them and saying that they're terrible doctors, but I understand the circumstances of why they're terrible doctors. I don't
Yeah.
think I'd be a particularly good doctor either if I was thinking about how I'm going to be living the equivalent of a dorm room life for the next 20 to 30 years as I pay my medical debt off.
Yeah. Yeah. It's is people think that doctors make a lot more money than they do. And they
Yeah,
used to, but they don't anymore. It's
no.
changed a lot.
Especially not the ones that we have. I mean, primary doctors don't make a lot at all, especially
Yeah.
compared to their debt.
So Medicare has this program I read about that it hasn't not very many people taking advantage of it, but it basically is an incentive program for primary doctors to work more closely with the patients that have chronic health issues. And they basically pay them more money to have, like regular, I don't know if it's weekly or biweekly or monthly or whatever, phone calls with these patients and make sure they're getting what they need and all that. And apparently it's like $40 for each session or something. It's not like
What?
I'm like yeah, like the incentive
30?
is like 40
How
bucks.
how long is the session?
I think it's like an hour, but it's
That's
not
not very good.
yeah. But then I've seen the bills, what Medicare actually pays my doctors for stuff. And I'm like, damn, you know, I feel kind of
Yeah.
bad.
And well, it's just like when I was doing archaeology, I was like, getting $30 an hour, but they were charging like $120 an hour.
Oh yeah, when I did IT work, I got paid $10 an hour and they charged $90 or 90 something dollars an hour for my work.
Yeah, it's
But my
like,
coworkers got paid $20 an hour and they also billed the same amount for their work. So I was like, I was the only female. So
yeah, yeah,
bullshit.
it really makes no sense.
Yeah, it's rude. Um, I was gonna say something and I just brain farted it. So are you still playing Helldivers?
They've been having issues recently. Like they recently had the whole PlayStation bedoggle where if you didn't have a PlayStation Network account, you couldn't play it. And this is very recent, like literally the last 2 week or two. They're trying to get everyone to make a PlayStation Network account to play it, even on PC. And then if you were in a country that didn't have PlayStation Network, you couldn't play it anymore, which means you now had a game that you bought and can't play. It was a
Why?
huge thing. Sony's retarded. That's why Sony is
Okay.
fuck. This is one of the many game things I was talking about where it's like they make this abominable choice and it doesn't really matter. Um, but it was like 2 weeks of the community review bombing it, and people were even like getting refunds on Steam, and Steam was giving them even though they had like 400 hours in it because they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, can't play the game anymore, or they're trying to force me to sign up for a secondary service. And Steam was giving out refunds for that. But they just a couple of days ago retracted it, and they're like, "Oh, we're not going to do the PlayStation Network thing anymore. We're not going to force people to do that." So it's back to normal again. But there was one person who was on their team, I think part of the community management, and he actually like in the Discord was telling people, "Hey, you should go review bomb and stuff, and stop yelling at our moderators and go like review bomb and get refunds on Steam."
Yeah.
And people were very like, "Oh yeah, he's for the people," but he got fired. So of course,
He's, yeah.
Sony was like, "This man cannot be on the team any longer."
that's messed up. That's like there's the Boeing was the whistle two of the whistleblowers have
Yeah,
died, and now
yeah,
there's the new one that Boeing's like, no, 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 we're gonna celebrate this guy because he's doing the right thing, and I'm like, that's because the
dude.
other two died.
Yeah, the first one died under suspicious circumstances, and when the second one died, he literally had been telling people, he's like, "Yeah, if I kill myself, I just want you guys to know, I have no intention of killing myself. When I kill myself, it was them. It was Boeing. They did it." And then he died by killing himself, and it's like, no, dude,
Yeah,
no,
that's the weird
it's
thing is
really
like
sus.
the indifference to it. It's just in the news. It's not like,
Yeah,
like in the movies and TV shows, stuff like that happens. It's like kind of like everything stops. It's like, oh, and it's like, no, we're just like,
yeah,
we're like,
real
we're like,
life. Yeah.
yeah, Boeing's
There isn't
killing
even
people.
like
Yeah.
at least not an open investigation of it. It's just like, oh yeah,
Mm.
he killed himself. The guy who whistleblowed and said he wouldn't kill himself, and if he died, it was them. Yeah, he just killed himself. It's like it's just like the fucking Jeffrey Epstein thing. All these people kill themselves. It's so obvious they didn't kill themselves, and
Yeah.
it's just like, oh no, they killed themselves. Uh, I mean, well, it's like we're super aware, people in Russia keep getting pushed out balconies or thrown off their jet skis into propellers. And we're like, oh, yeah, Putin had them killed. This is obvious. Same shit happens here. And we're like, what? No, he just killed himself. Boeing would never do that.
We're like, we can't, yeah, the other person could be bad, but we can't be
Yeah,
bad.
well, American, we can't be bad. We would never
Yeah.
do that.
We're,
Land of
never
the
mind that
free.
our government is king of the bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, they're probably still doing it, but even, wasn't even 20 years ago that they were, illegally testing drugs on the populace or all sorts of other shit.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean,
And who knows the kind of stuff we get up to when people aren't seeing.
it was literally only 40, third, I don't know exact date anymore, but it was like 30, 40 years ago that we were still testing nuclear bombs in the Pacific Islands. And we're intentionally testing them on islands that were unpopulous, but within wind range of populous islands where we could see the effects of nuclear winds on Pacific Islander populations. But it's okay. The French did it longer. They were the last to stop.
It's awful.
At
People
least
are
we're not the
awful.
French. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
Those
even one of the worst ones was when we uh, evacuated a bunch of people from an island, nuked the shit out of it, and then before it was clean to go, we put them back on it to see the effects of like residual radiation on a population.
The thing that sucks is during this period of no accountability for the awful shit, we could have been like making medical advances, and instead we're like just getting really good at killing people.
I mean,
And
we made some medical
yeah,
advances.
we could, but there's all these things we don't do now because you're like, well, we can't because we can't do you know, humanely, we can't do the things we need to
Dodge,
do to learn about this. And
dodge that.
I'm like, well, we could have.
Could have. Yeah, well, it's okay. China will do it.
Yeah.
China is doing it, so it's fine. But there's also things that I don't, they should be completely fine, like stem cells, working with aborted fetuses. I mean, they're not, they're dead. Even
Yeah.
working with dead bodies, I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, if I guess if you want to be fair and you're religiously against it, then you yourself as an individual and your aborted fetus and stem cells aren't allowed to be used for research. But if someone's fine with it, you shouldn't have a say in it.
Exactly.
If I
Yep.
want my aborted fetus to be used for medical research, I have that right. Land of the free, home of the brave.
Yeah, I'm all for it, anything that,
Yeah.
it's definitely like definitely not for people suffering, but if people wanted to opt in for suffering, like some
Yeah.
people are just like, you know what? My quality of life isn't great, and if I could try this and blah 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 and maybe makes it better, maybe not, and I'm willing to, and they that should also be their choice,
Yeah.
you
There's
know.
definitely like the amount of opportunities like that are very slim and in between. And there's so much red tape that usually by the time the person would have been allowed to do the trial, they've probably already died.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, and then you get in the other slippery slope. Like there's a lot of people, people should be allowed to opt in to do things. Like, what if they want to get paid to do this dangerous trial or something? And it's like, well, then you're getting in the realm of exploiting poor people,
Yeah.
where we already exploit poor people, but to exploit them for medical research is even worse.
Yeah. Not
And
only
you
that,
know
but
it will
and you're not gonna
do that.
it's gonna skew the results too, because
Yeah, because it'll just turn into third world exploitation, where it's you get some guy who $500 could last him a year, and he's gonna for $500 take something that could debilitate him for life.
yep. There's like I've watched TV shows where that's the premise, where the people are being went to another country, got paid a couple $100 to get injected with something, and then you
Yeah,
know,
I mean it's already real life. We're not that open about it.
yeah,
I mean, it's already, it's like how we get cobalt and nickel and copper from the artisanal tunnels in Africa, which are literal child labor tunnels because children are the only ones who can fit in them. And people are like, "Oh, that's bad. We should stop that." But
while holding their cell phone.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like, but I need this. And it's like,
My issue isn't kids doing the work. It's if they're being forced to do it, like slave labor, and if they're not being paid. Like people should be paid for what they do, and
it's
that's where my issue is. Like we undervalue, like we kids are capable of so much more than,
yeah. Well, and
um
then you get an issue where technically what you said is happening. They are being paid, and they're not being forced. Not literally. It's not literal slave labor,
yeah.
but the
There,
circumstances,
but
they
there's
don't have,
no other option for them.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
no other option. And what they are being paid is, I mean, literally like a couple dollars for a sack of cobalt and or iron or copper or nickel that takes them, all day to get and uh, could kill them. Not only
Yeah.
from exposure, but also if the tunnels collapse, they die.
Yeah, that's bullshit. That's the part. Because the money, there's so much profit happening at the top
Yeah.
that they could literally give up some of it, not all of it, and people would be getting paid enough, have access to like, you know, stuff to help protect them. And also some of that stuff robots should be doing.
I'm like,
Yeah.
literally just have a robot do it and then teach people how to take care of the robot.
Yep.
I mean, but guys, we need our lunar rail. We need the lunar train.
That's
Moon
so
train.
moon train.
And it's even
This
worse. I thought it was a butt ton of money to build the moon train.
No,
And
it's just to explore the concepts of it.
yep, we're
It's
giving this fucking military defense company, uh, which is like the company's like 90% military defense, weapons. Um, Giving a butt ton of money for the next 10 years to think about how they could
well,
build a train on the moon.
NASA as well is putting a bunch of money into thinking about this. So there's even more money going into it.
I
And
just
like and the basis for it is to protect the environment when
what
we are
environment?
up there more. Yeah, they're like, so we
Wait,
don't ruin things when we're up there. And I'm like, why is that environment more important than the one where we
don't
live?
ruin the fucking moon. It's a I
And I don't
what
understand, like,
environment?
yeah.
What are they even talking about?
My assumption is they're worried they're gonna ruin something they can make money off of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, I'm
that's
just like, they're gonna build a train on the moon before they build a continental, locomotion.
yeah. They're
Transcontinental.
gonna have a train on the moon before we get the fucking fast rail between San Francisco and LA.
True. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like that whole project has been just like dumb.
Well, and there's just so many hoops. There's so much incentive for people to not finish the project because the money keeps getting poured in regardless. And then there's all these permitting processes. So it's literally like they sit there, they wait for the permits to go through, they pay for the permits, they get money, they do a little bit of work, and then by the time they could have gotten anything meaningful done, they need to renew the permits.
So it's
And
yeah. And I think like the moon stuff really comes down to ego. We just want
yeah,
to be in
we
control.
love the moon.
Yeah. We just want to get there before everyone else and be in control, and
Guys,
we're gonna make
want
the
to live.
train for our friends to use too, but not China.
Yeah, well, they can use them, but they have to
They got to
they have to
pay us.
pay tariffs,
Yeah.
more tariffs than everyone
Yeah.
else.
And they have to share their data.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
stupid. I hate like I just
Uh
don't like I just human nature is like we're awful.
Guys, we hate China. They're communists. Never mind the fact that they're not communists and they're actually just late stage capitalists like us too.
Yeah. But the I was listening to um which we call it Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson,
Yeah.
and he was talking about how the civil rights movement was actually based on communism, but they just chose not to call it that because the communists were the bad guy at the time. But the foundation of what they were asking for in terms of like fair pay and all this stuff literally kind of came from like the Communist Handbook,
Yeah.
and that they just did a really good job of like shifting focus away from that, during that time by having a Christian mouthpiece, because communism was believed to be, godless, so therefore it couldn't be communism if we had a Christian mouthpiece.
Yep. If God's involved, it can't be communism.
Yeah. So I had no idea. I've never had it like explained in that perspective. My brain was like, oh,
I mean, it's just wacky the hoops that people jump through because of people's fantasies.
yeah, the labels are all defining.
Oh,
That
well,
that label
he's a
it
man of God, so he can't be too bad.
Yeah, that label is bad, so therefore even if the results of that label would be good, it's bad.
That reminds me, they recently added season 2 of Evil on Netflix. So I've been
On
watching that.
Of what?
Evil?
Did I watch season one?
I think you did. It's CBS, some channel, and it has Luke Cage in it. The guy who played Luke
Oh,
Cage.
I think I oh, did the first season come out like
Yeah. long time ago, and the other seasons, I think it got picked
And
up
they
by a
were
different network.
and they were making him all like kind of there was sort of like a vibe, even though she's yeah, I remember that. And I forgot about that show because I thought they canceled it.
No, so it did get canceled, but then another network immediately picked it up. But the other network wasn't friends with Netflix at the time, so Netflix didn't get it, and then they just now got the second season. I think there's been 3 seasons so far.
It's yeah, it said there's four on that
Well,
when I just
then
looked it
there's
up,
been
but
4.
yeah, but it's there's probably only three on Netflix.
There's only 2 on Netflix.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate the
Yeah.
like I started watching Outlander, whatever. I don't know. It's terrible. The show makes me really angry, but it's really good background noise to like yell at it when I'm crafting because there's so
Oh,
many
I
plot holes. But
yeah,
Netflix is like 3 seasons behind or something. It's
classic.
rude. I was just like, why? It has so many plot holes. It makes me so mad. I don't know why I keep watching it. And the sex scenes are really long, which is annoying as well.
Ariel likes that show.
Of course. It's like, you know, kilts.
Yeah.
Freedom!
Freedom! Braveheart! Mel Gibson!
This movie is so historically accurate. Oh.
My people! Never mind, we were probably on the other side.
Yeah, so how is it the season 2? Is it
I think I'm like halfway through it. Um, it's more of the same. So if you liked season 1, you'll like season 2.
okay? Yeah. I don't really remember. I feel like it was okay. I didn't feel like it I don't I don't remember it being like fantastic, but I remember feel like it had potential.
Yeah, it's not like groundbreaking, but I enjoy it. I enjoy it like the same way I enjoyed Grimm,
Yeah. Grima's
wh-
fun.
where I'm like, it's definitely not like good, but
I,
it's
li- I like the
good.
werewolf factor in Grim. So whenever I see him and stuff, I always have this sort of like sentimental, I
Was
like that guy.
Henry?
Yeah. Um, I've been watching them and the first the second season is definitely better than the first season. Um,
Silas Ware Mitchell. Oh, Monroe, that's what his name was.
Monroe, Silas. That sounds
Yeah.
about right. Um, it's got Silas Eyelids. Um, it wasn't what I didn't I don't read about things before I watch them, so I didn't know really what them was about. I knew like there's some black story element with some horror element, and the acting is really good. The first season story is a little bit tired, but the second season, it's worth getting through the first one for the second one, but you don't actually really need to watch the first one. The second one is really good. It's got that early um American Horror Story vibe with this just sort of like darkness. It's like really creepy, but and the acting is like really, really good. Um like there's the one character who's just kind of like this creepy sociopath guy, and he's so like believable and so like dynamic in his mood shifts and stuff that I'm just like, damn, he's a really good actor.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know anything about it besides it being a horror show.
yeah, it's well, the first season is very the horror is racism. Everything is driven by racism. And the second season is not, there is racism in it as is realistic, but it's not the focal point of the story. So but they still did a really good job of the way that they played it out and the people's sort of like neurosis and stuff. It wasn't like um I watched a Candyman movie and the way that they represented racism and that was so bad. was like so generic and so like, you know, like lazy that and I loved the first Candyman movie, loved it. I had like the poster on my wall as a teenager. I just love that actor. And I was so like, this is really disappointing. There were like these little components that I was like, they could have like expanded on that, you know, and they didn't have to get rid of the racism completely because that is part of like the lore to begin with. But the way that they, I mean, it was weird, you know? Like it was a complete like I think when they fall into the trope of dehumanizing um the racist part of the culture, then it becomes like problematic because um then they're not really any better than, you know,
Yeah. I mean, the
than the
racism
racists.
racism's not good, but it comes
Yeah.
from a human place.
Yeah, and it's they're, you know, like basically the idea when these stories are told that everybody is racist in the same way is not it's not accurate. You know, that was one of the things I liked about that one show. What the hell is that called? It was there was like two seasons on HBO. Um and they actually depicted like racism as being much more complex because you have people who don't want to participate but they are also under threat, and you know there's more to it than just like everybody hates everyone in the same way. And
Was it the Watchmen show?
no, not that one, but it came out around the same time. um
Yeah.
yeah, it was like based in the past and there was like magic or
Was
I
it
don't know.
Lovecraft Country?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I didn't feel like it didn't the way that the racism was depicted felt more like honest, and so it didn't feel like annoying in that way. I just got really upset by it. Racism really upsets me. Like I want to go in and kill all those people. You know, I hate it, but it was like, you know,
Yeah.
it felt it
Well, it's
felt
also just
relevant to the story, you know, instead of you're just going to lecture me about this thing, you know.
yeah. I mean, a lot of times it's like people feel afraid to depict racism as anything but uh comically evil. Where it's
Yeah.
I mean, even in school, it's like there's some schools that have just stopped teaching about racism, um, or the Ku Klux Klan or their ideals or anything like that, just because it's like you even mention it and they're like, you're pro-racist now. You're
That's
pro-racist by
crazy.
teaching it. And it's like, yeah, but how are people supposed to know it's not good
Yeah,
if they
it's
don't know about
literally
it?
why Germany teaches about World War II and stuff is because they don't want to repeat the same mistakes. Like,
Yeah, if people don't know what's bad about it or that it happened, then they can't know to not repeat it.
yeah,
It's
like I grew up thinking of the KKK as a section of the species that needed to be chlorinated. Like, you know, I feel like that was an important
yeah,
part of my development is to grow up
yeah.
like kind of hating these sort of
I mean, it's like by the time like I was in school, there's like the Ku Klux Klan and slavery and racism was all very kind of one section. It was like maybe a couple weeks of our learning, and then that was it. Like it happened, it was bad. You don't get any more information on it. We're just gonna talk about the good stuff.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, but
That's how it
that's
was for the
you don't
Native American stuff when
yeah.
I was,
Yeah,
you
like the
know,
Trail of Tears and stuff. It's like, yeah, that Trail of Tears, a lot of Native Americans died. Okay, time to move on. And it's like, yeah, but how are you supposed to not repeat something if you don't even know anything about it?
right?
I mean,
I
it's
I'm my parents sucked in so many ways, but one of the things that they did right was they kept it real. So that's why when I was 8, I was like drawing pictures of like a pilgrim with a teepee on fire and, you know, like Native American people dying in the background instead
yeah,
of like whatever the fuck people drew. wrote for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's like they still teach like the bullshit fake Thanksgiving in school, and I'm like, why?
yeah, it's so
So
weird.
fucking bizarre. Why this fucking like fairy tale, kumbaya shit.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, it's like otherness and in group, out of group sort of dynamics are just part of the human experience. This whole equality, anti racism, treating everyone equal, not judging people on prejudice is new. It's a new part of modern society. If you're talking about biologically how we've evolved, we
Not like
evolved
that at all.
no, our otherness and being cautious of people who aren't within our group was something that helped us protect ourselves. And by
Yeah.
ignoring that it exists, people are just going to do it unconsciously. You have to
Yep.
teach them to be aware of it so they know not to do it.
Exactly. Like the mindfulness of our bias and our inclination towards bias, and to be able to balance when it's useful and not useful, because sometimes it is useful, you
Yeah.
know, and like we shouldn't be trying to like suppress something. Instead, we should be trying to like embrace it and understand it so that we can learn to be better, and then make it easier for the next generation to manage it by having them be around that example. Like, you know, like it's in our genes. It's literally like,
And it's going to be there. I mean, you know,
yeah,
the chances that humanity lives long enough that we evolve out of having it in our genes is unlikely. Plus, the mutation that would cause us not to have it, Down syndrome, we're probably going to get rid of that.
yeah,
If we all had Down syndrome, there probably would be no racism.
yeah.
There'd be a
But,
lot of
like
other no things too, but
half of the people with Down syndrome have Alzheimer's because of a genetic link.
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah,
And also I didn't know there are three different types of Down syndrome. There are actually people that have the Down syndrome gene but don't exhibit it because they just have one instead of two or whatever. I don't remember the explanation. And so they will have Down syndrome babies who show that are more Down syndrome, basically more impacted by the Down syndrome, um, or are more likely to. And I didn't know that. I didn't realize that there were three different ways that expresses itself
yeah. And that's just three that are
that we're
been
aware
labeled.
of. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's like
is
how
interesting.
Asperger's doesn't exist anymore. That's been
Yeah,
removed because it's just not accurate. There is
yeah,
no single label for that.
yeah. The
Uh,
Asperger's was created because the fucking Nazis were differentiating between useful autistics and not useful autistics.
yep, literally. Well, this person is not neurotypical, but they may be of use to our programs.
Yeah. We'll keep that human computer.
Yes, it too were calculating.
Yeah. I get like cringy when people use the Asperger's term. Like once I realized where it came from, I was just like, oh, I don't like it.
Yeah, but there's just a lot of people don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure, and I'm sure there's still medical schools that probably still teach it. And
Yeah,
it took
probably.
so long for this stuff to get disseminated. And it's like,
Yeah.
guys,
Well, and
why?
there's autistic people who know, but they're very attached to the label because it differentiates them from autism, or they feel that it does,
Yeah.
you know?
One,
So it's,
I understand like wanting to use the label too, because there's people who the stigma is different. You tell someone you have autism and they're like, they don't know how to treat you, or they think you're like retarded.
yeah,
And then if you say you have Asperger's, people generally have this image. They're like,
you're a
oh,
nerd.
I know exactly what kind of special you are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. It's people are their labels, the need for the labels and
Yeah.
the rigidness and,
But
you know,
labels are an important developmental part of our history and how we have learned to get over our in-group biases. Because
Yeah.
when you have common labels between two groups, it helps you understand the other group. So
Yeah.
while they are silly and stupid, they are unfortunately necessary
I
until
don't
we get
think
telepathy.
I don't think the labeling itself is silly and stupid. I think it's the rigidness, the fact that we don't have the labeling with the curiosity when it's being applied to people. That's the part that, because organizing stuff makes perfect sense, right? But it's there's always more information.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's the
it's yeah.
laziness. It's the fact that they don't organize stuff to the extent that we do.
Yeah, and then they get the label and they go, "Okay, no more labeling. We're done.
Yeah.
Labeled enough."
Yeah. And I'm like, no, there's more.
Well, we can split. Oh, I see you're a splitter, not a clumper. Was one of those things in I remember especially with taxonomy, you get people would think of like, oh, the Latin name for bugs or stuff or spiders, and like, oh, well, it's set in stone now. This spider is this spider. But then a lot of times there's people in the community who haven't even agreed on that. They're like, well, no, actually, these two spiders that look very similar, you're saying they're the same. I understand that they can technically breed, but I think they should have a different taxonomical subspecies name because this spider, on average, has a fang length of 1 millimeter longer. And I mean, it's literally stuff like that where it's like
the lo- the
one
long fang.
millimeter longer. Yeah, literally, it's like they're the same in every way, but this one has 1 millimeter longer fang on average and has slightly different markings. But otherwise, they're exactly the same as far as we're aware. So, but they should be split. And then the clumpers are all like, just no, just put them together.
That's like organizing people by nose shape or something.
Yeah,
That's
but
pretty
you
down
also
there.
get the same thing with it gets real bad with prehistoric taxonomy because you have a limited data set. And so as soon as they find bones that are like slightly different from the other ones, they're like, oh, this is a new species now. This is a new species of human. Well, we don't know if they could have bred together and they look different. But it's at the same, it's like saying, oh, that short guy over there, he's about 2 feet shorter than me. Pff, that's a different species.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a different species.
they're so quick when they find stuff to label it instead of like, doing
It's
the
like,
research.
you got Denisovans, Neanderthals, uh, fuck. What are the other ones? Other than obviously Homo sapiens. But they're all considered different species, but they're all capable of interbreeding. And I thought that was the definition of,
Different
a species is that they
Yeah.
can't breed together. But that rule seems to not be uh, followed very hard, especially when it comes to prehistoric populations. There's a lot of bending that rule where they're like, yeah, but we're going to call them different species.
Yeah. And really they're just like different uh releases of the human.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like saying, uh, it's like saying when Europeans got here that they were a different species from the Native Americans, which they thought that, a lot of them did think that they were a
Yeah.
different species. They're like, oh no, those were the beasts. Those are not humans.
You're
Even now
just
you're getting property owners in Israel calling Palestinians animals and saying, "Oh no, we're not killing people. We're clearing the land of animals."
oh my God,
The irony, the
the
fucking irony.
dehumanizing of just so that they can, yeah.
I'm like, guys, World War II was like not even a century ago.
It's like literally people alive there who remember that shit.
Yeah, I'm like that you're probably related to, and you're
Yeah.
still doing this.
Yeah.
And there's just been, I mean, it's literally like Biden going out of his way to make sure that Netanyahu and Israel got weapons and arms from us instead of Ukraine. And I'm like, why are we putting a focus on supporting
The
genocide over
bully. Yeah, we're helping the bully, not the yeah.
that doesn't make any sense.
It's just like what are the I just whatever the financial benefit is going to be, they must think
Well,
it's
it's
worth it.
yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it before, but they want to build a new Suez Canal basically.
Yeah.
They want to build it right through West Gaza and undercut the Suez Canal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That guy, the Saudi Arabia guy, I don't remember his name. He's basically pissed about what was happening over there and was kind of like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna go in on the deal with you guys if you do this." And I haven't heard anything updated since everything kind of went to shit there.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like got bored of waiting, got bored of committing slow genocide, and they're like, well, let's just kill them all.
Yeah,
That's what
probably
it
feeling
seems like.
pressure from a climate change or something.
Guys, we gotta ramp this up. We need to make way more money, way more quick. That way we can afford our super bunkers in case,
Yeah, you know.
guys, I haven't achieved immortality yet. Let's
when the
let's
when
ramp
the
this up.
zombie virus comes from the Arctic Circle and gets us, they
Yeah.
it's a crazy shit going on right now. Have you seen the crater? It's not really a crater, but it's more like a sinkhole in Russia that's just
Yeah.
been
Yeah, the
yeah, it's
sinkhole.
growing like crazy.
Dude, and that's one of those things that like people have are afraid of sinkholes. Pretty recently, sinkholes are terrifying. But I think at the same time, people like really underestimate how badly we've drained the underwater like rivers and aquifers to the
Yeah.
point that like sinkholes are just gonna ramp. There's just gonna be more of them, especially as it gets drier.
Mm-hmm.
There's just gonna be more and more sinkholes. Like
Yeah.
we're fucked.
I just I have like I try not to think too much about things because I feel very anxious because I feel like there's not really going to be anywhere safe to live, you
Yeah.
know?
Everywhere's gonna have its own problems. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like
You just
any
have to pick
agricultural area is like a couple feet lower than it used to be.
just if we do like end up getting property somewhere and we know there's fires, we need to invest in that house wrap thing.
Which house wrap?
There's like this wrap that you can put on the house and it protects it from starting on fire.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
they're pretty cool. I thought I sent you the link a while back. I'll see if I
I
can find
I
it,
think
but
you did.
it's
I
not
think
cheap, but it's pretty cool.
house
So
not being on fire is cool.
yeah, and it takes like they say like the first time you put it on, it takes longer, but once you kind of get it, then it's not. And you just put it on, leave it on until the fire's done, and then take it off and save it for next time. So
Yeah, I mean if I get property, I definitely want to build like a fire break too, just around the property.
definitely,
Build a
yeah,
moat. I'm gonna build a
yeah.
moat.
And then just maintain the property for common sense
I'm gonna
fire
get
safety
maybe
and
a cool tractor, an actual tractor, so I can do
yeah,
tractor things.
I wanted to do tractor things.
I want a tractor so bad.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I was gonna say, if you do end up mowing, don't forget there's the drainage hose coming out of the RV. It's under the grass right now.
I know. I know. I need to remember to take it off
Yeah, since
because
the tank is
yeah,
empty.
yeah. Um yeah, I keep having to remind them that the power cable is going to your RV. And she keeps forgetting. She almost like mowed it the other day, and I'm like, I've told you like 5 times, and I keep pushing it up over the grass because I cut the grass so you could see it. I
Hmm.
keep putting it on top of the grass, and it's like some fucking brain damage. I don't know.
Yeah, those things.
Yeah.
Ugh, that would be bad.
Yeah.
For I'm
Yeah,
not
that would
sure
be
for who, but it would be bad.
for her probably.
Yeah.
Um, maybe good for everyone else. Uh, yeah, I have the stands for the work that needs to be done in the RV. I just need to get the like I need to get gravel, which means I need to empty the truck. So then I have somewhere to put the stands and
Yeah.
then attach the boards. And then I need to take out the flooring and go take it to like Home Depot or Lowe's or something to get it sized
Yeah.
for
Assuming
the
that
new
that
piece.
board will come out, like, because it's so trash. I don't know if it'll come out. Like,
Yeah, I might just have to take measurements,
yeah,
you know,
do that
but
anyways, and then hope that the wood will just come out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
It's gonna. I know I need to. Well, I need to feel better, but I need to go there and finish pulling off the skirt,
mm,
and then we can just post the stuff and be like, the insulation, just give it away, have somebody come pick it up.
yeah. I asked Phil if he wanted it. He didn't ever get back to me, so I assume he doesn't want it.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it's one because it's free. Somebody might take it for a project or something,
I
it's
someone will definitely take it.
yeah. So it's doing it, just doing it. And I gotta come there and we gotta have Indian food still.
I know. Oh, dude, we gotta find a new place. The Indian place I loved. They they recently changed their ingredients, and we were trying to figure out what it was for a while because we had gone there a couple times. And we're like, it doesn't taste the same. Like everything tastes like extra tomatoey. And um, last time I went with Alex and her friend Donovan, I think we figured out that they probably switched from fresh tomatoes to like canned tomatoes.
That would do it. They
And
just doesn't work.
we asked him too. We're like, hey, did you guys change your ingredients or your chef? Like, it doesn't taste the same. Like, and he was like, oh no, we didn't change anything. And
Lies.
yeah, I'm like lies, and also like you guys increased the prices for everything by like $3, so I would expect the ingredients to still be the same.
Yeah, or
So
better.
offensive. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
offensive too because it was literally best Indian food I've ever had, and now it is pretty sub.
That sucks. Yeah,
Literally, like uh, it tastes like tomato soup.
uh, that's rude. Oh, that's sad. The
Yeah,
I made nachos a couple weeks ago and I needed tomatoes and I asked Dave if he could get tomatoes and he was like, "Well, I've got some canned tomatoes." And I was like,
shit's
"That's
nasty, dude.
nasty." Like the
Canned
only time I
tomatoes
use
are
canned tomatoes is when I'm making pasta sauce. That's it.
nasty.
Like,
Yeah,
and I still prefer fresh tomatoes, but like, ugh,
it's just
no, it's
too
not
pungent.
good.
Too pungent.
Yeah. It doesn't,
Yeah.
and they taste old. They don't, it just doesn't taste like tomatoes in the right way. I went
Yeah.
to, I got chana masala at that place in the Emeryville Marketplace, where we
Yeah.
used to go,
Yep.
and they look different. And they have more dishes available, but it was still delicious. So,
That's good.
yeah,
The one thing I did have last time at the Indian place that was still good was the lentil soup. Because
nice.
can't replace lentil soup with canned tomatoes. There's no tomatoes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
at this point I'm like, if I go again, I'm pretty sure I just need to get something that has no tomatoes in it.
yeah,
Because that
hopefully.
sucked.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll have to find another place. I could always come there.
Okay.
We could eat. We don't have to eat Indian food. We could eat Thai food. It's got
True.
curry.
There's good Thai food places.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
I
like a
gotta get
curry.
I gotta get off so I can go eat. My stomach hurt.
Oh yeah, you gotta go eat.
Yeah.
Eating is it's important. Yeah. I get to finish. I had pizza today. I like
Pizza.
Tillamook frozen pizza, and guess what? It's Tillamook. It's got too much cheese.
Oh,
It's, the
yeah,
texture, when there's too much cheese and the texture gets a little weird, it's like that.
yeah.
So I will
That's
not be getting that
unfortunate.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, enjoy your food. Tell Itzel that I said hello. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought about getting Helldivers. I just feel like I'll buy it and then I'll play it 3 times and you know,
Yeah. I mean, don't worry about getting it. Maybe if it's on sale or something.
yeah. Yeah. And maybe since I'm actively gaming again, another one will come out at some point and I'll be able to play earlier.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.